Hi everyone, my name is Yaritza Withers. I am with Alliant University, and this video is going to discuss the program pathway for the Masters of Arts in Education, Education Specialist Credential program. I am currently a standard intern, and the school that I'm with, it's the Vista Magna Middle School. So for this term, the August term, I'm taking two courses: the Edu 62030 Professional Learning and Practice course and the Edu 62040B Special Educational Foundations. Now, the program pathway is asking to share the names and numbers of the courses that I need to take. And so I'm looking at my master plan for this. And so for the October term, I will have to take the Edu 62350 Content Knowledge and Instructional Practice 1 Elementary Methods, and the Edu 62460 Clinical Practice 1 Planning. For the January term, I have to take the Edu 62470 Clinical Practice 2 Teaching and Planning, and the Edu 62128 Content Knowledge and Instructional Practice 2 Literacy Pedagogy. And for the March term, it's the Edu 62480 Clinical Practice 3 Assessment and the Edu 62630 Content Knowledge and Instructional Practice 3 Teaching English Learners. May 5th, or for the May term, 6 units again. It's going to be the TEL 71710 Educational Technology and the TCH 76860 Introduction to Research. And for the June term, it's going to only be 3 units, which is the TCH 76910 Research in Action Communities of Practice next year. So it's going to be Edu 62050 Content Knowledge and Instructional Practice for Differentiated Learning, and the Edu 689-900B Clinical Practice 4 K through 12 Special Education, Reflection and Professional Responsibility, for a total of 4.5 units. Now, if you notice here for the October term, there are 0 units, but I will be doing the Edu 64990 Advanced Mentoring. And yeah, these are the courses that I will need to be taking to follow the plan for the Masters of Education or Masters of Arts in Education for the Education Specialist Credential. So which of these courses require you to have a placement and complete clinical practice hours? So those courses are going to be the Clinical Practice 1, Clinical Practice 2, Clinical Practice 3, and Clinical Practice 4 courses. If you notice here, those began literally next month. So we're actually in September 2024, and these start in October 2024. So I do need to be in a program by then, and I am, so thank God. It says how many clinical practice hours must be completed in each of those courses to stay on track. So you can refer to the clinical practice handbook for this, but you could also refer to the intern teacher candidates flyer here. And it does require, it says, teacher candidates are required to complete a minimum of 600 paid hours of clinical practice during their program. In addition, interns are required to complete a minimum of 189 hours of additional support, mentoring, and supervision per academic year. These additional hours are identified as 144 hours of general support, mentoring, and supervision, plus 45 hours of English learner specific support, mentoring, and supervision. These hours are separate from the 600 minimum hours interns will obtain as employed teachers of record in the classroom. So I'm actually going to refer to the handbook because I think it's a little bit more straightforward. But it states here, So in each of those courses, to stay on track, did we mention it actually? How many hours are required? So that's going to be 600 hours, but this is more specific. For each clinical practice, it is required 188 hours of us. This is the first one. This is for the education specialist. The CTC required clinical practice hours are 100 hours in the special education classroom and 50 hours in the general education classroom. Additional hours of support and supervision intern track are 36, and additional hours of English learner and support and supervision for intern track are 12. And then we move over to clinical practice 2, which is the same expectation. Also 100 hours in special education and 50 hours in general ed. And then for supervision, it's 36 hours. And for English learner support and supervision are going to be 12 hours. It changes up a little bit for clinical practice 3 and clinical practice 4. Clinical practice 3 and clinical practice 4 are pretty much the same. Clinical practice 3 states that we have to do the 150 hours in special education, so we're not splitting it up with general ed. And also for clinical practice 4, 150 hours and special education. It gets a little confusing because I'm going back with the between multiple and education specialists, but this is the one we need to be looking at. Anyways, the support and supervision hours are going to be 36, and the English learner and support supervision are going to be 12, just like clinical practice 1, 2, 3, and 4. So those hours did not change. On teacher credentialing, how many formal evaluations, also known as video progress assessments, must be completed during the program and in which courses? So I'm gonna take you to the for the formal evaluations, all pathways and tracks PowerPoint. So it states here that standard intern candidates must complete a total of 12 formal observations. That occurs in the clinical practice 1, 2, 3, and 4. It says it here too, but this is for the student teacher, so it looks like they might have just copied and pasted, and they still put standard intern must complete a total of 6 hours, but that is referring to the student teachers, not the interns. And it states here what happens if you don't meet these requirements. If they're not complete, these formal evaluations are not completed. It says failure to submit your video progress assessments will result in a non-passing grade. So we do have to stay on top of those. And last question, in detail, share your backup plan if you get off track. Well, I do need to reach out immediately to my advisor, who is Abby Nyrink. I think that's how we pronounce it. I'm sorry. And I also need to be contacting my district. I need to contact my supervisor. I need to contact my mentor. The principal. I really have to get everyone involved, and maybe that'll help me stay on the program if I do fall off track. They'll probably help me go back on track. However, if there is nothing, I really messed up big time, there's nothing else that can be done for me, I will need to just, probably take some time away from the program, think about where I went wrong and how I'm going to fix it next time in the future if I do decide to come back to the intern program. And In the meantime, I'll probably just get a job substituting again, which is, a fun job because you get to be a teacher with all the responsibilities. But obviously, the pay is not the same, the benefits are not the same. So, um, yeah, I do want to continue this pathway, but if all goes wrong, that is my ulterior pathway, my backup plan. But yeah, everyone, thank you for listening, and I hope you guys have a great night. Bye.